All right, so are you ready to take a deep dive with this article? Essential Rules of Good Health from Liateo Wellness.
Absolutely.
This one really is packed with information.
Sure.
John Chris, the author,
Mm.
he clearly knows a lot about this stuff.
Mm.
It seems like our listener is really trying to improve their health. So
Yeah.
let's see if we can help them out.
Sounds good.
So I think it makes sense to start with the sugar stuff
Okay.
because that's something we all deal with. And he calls it the sweet saboteur.
Yeah.
I think we can all relate to that because we all love sugar, but he talks about how it gives us all these empty calories and, it can lead to weight gain and all these other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only weight gain, but increased risk of diabetes and heart disease and even those pesky cavities that we all try to avoid.
Right, yeah, all that stuff.
It's pretty amazing how sugar can actually kind of hijack our brain's reward system.
Really?
Yeah, it triggers the release of dopamine, which makes us feel good, and so then we just want more and more of it.
Oh,
And over time, that can lead to insulin resistance, which is basically our body's way of saying, hey, I can't handle all this sugar anymore.
oh, so it's not just willpower.
Right, exactly. There's actually a chemical reason why it's so hard to resist that extra cookie.
Oh, that makes me feel a little bit better
Yeah.
about my sugar addiction.
Yeah.
But
But it's really important to remember that there's a difference between naturally occurring sugars that we find in foods and then those added sugars that are kind of lurking in all those processed foods.
oh, right, yeah.
While natural sugars come packaged with all that fiber and nutrients, those added sugars are just empty calories and really wreak havoc on our system.
So it seems like the article's advice to choose water and whole foods and keep your sugar low is pretty spot on.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's really powerful advice.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to fats. Now, this is where I always get a little bit confused. I don't know about you, but is it good or bad for us?
Yeah, it's definitely tricky, right? There's so much conflicting information out there.
Yeah.
But, I really like how the article uses this seesaw analogy to kind of illustrate how important balance is.
Okay, the seesaw. I like that.
Yeah, so imagine like saturated fats.
Hmm.
The bad guys on one side of the seesaw.
Yeah.
These are the ones that are found in things like fatty meats and butter and full-fat dairy.
Right.
And they increase what's called LDL cholesterol,
Mm-hmm.
which is the kind that clogs our arteries.
Okay.
Now, on the other side of the seesaw, you have unsaturated fats, the good guys,
Okay.
which are found in things like olive oil, avocados, and nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And those can actually lower LDL cholesterol and raise HDL cholesterol, which is the good kind.
Oh, so HDL is like the cleanup crew.
Exactly. Think of it this way. LDL is like sticky gunk that builds up in your pipes, and HDL is the drain cleaner that comes in and flushes it all away.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I won't forget that one. And it's interesting because the author actually shares their own experience about swapping bad fats for good fats. And they said they lowered their cholesterol simply by making changes like using olive oil instead of butter.
It's really encouraging, right?
Yeah.
It shows that you don't need to overhaul your entire diet all at once. Just start making small changes one step at a time.
Yeah, and speaking of heart health, the article transitions really smoothly into blood pressure,
Yeah.
talking about the link between high sodium and high blood pressure and this silent threat.
Right. It's sneaky because it often doesn't have any obvious symptoms early on.
Right.
But it can silently damage your blood vessels, putting you at risk for serious conditions like heart attack and stroke.
So we really do need to pay attention to this.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like that they talk about how we can lower blood pressure through our diet, like by cutting back on processed foods, which are loaded with sodium, and using herbs and spices instead.
Mm-hmm.
I love to cook, so that's a win-win for me.
Yeah, those fresh flavors really make a difference.
For sure. And, when you cook at home, you have more control over how much salt you're using.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's move on to salt specifically because the article kind of zooms in on that it highlights the World Health Organization's recommendation of less than 5 grams of salt per day.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
It's really easy to overdo it without even realizing it,
Yeah.
Especially with all those processed foods and restaurant meals.
For sure.
But when we eat too much salt, our kidneys have to work extra hard to flush it out. And this can lead to water retention, increased blood volume, and ultimately higher blood pressure.
So that's why doctors are always on us about watching our salt.
Exactly.
So the article really just emphasizes, reducing those processed foods, being mindful about adding extra salt, and choosing fresh or minimally processed foods whenever possible.
Yeah, and those foods are naturally lower in sodium and higher in potassium, which can actually help counter the negative effects of sodium on blood pressure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about diabetes.
Okay.
This is obviously a serious condition.
Yeah.
But the article does a good job of focusing on the message that we can actually make a difference through lifestyle choices,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially when it comes to type 2 diabetes.
Right. While there's no cure for diabetes,
Right.
managing it effectively is all about regulating blood sugar levels
Hmm.
and minimizing those complications.
Right.
And that's where diet and lifestyle play a huge role.
Yeah, so the article recommends a diet rich in whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, and avoiding those high sugar refined carb foods.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the heart healthy eating plan we were just talking about.
It does, right?
It really highlights that there's so much overlap
Yeah.
in the dietary recommendations.
So it's kind of a win-win situation. By focusing on healthy eating habits, we can address multiple concerns at once.
Exactly.
So it seems like the article then goes on to discuss the building blocks of healthy eating in more detail.
Yeah.
Really focusing on the importance of making those informed food choices and striving for a balanced diet.
It's not about deprivation
No.
or following a set of rigid rules.
Right.
It's about making choices that really nourish our bodies and support our well-being overall.
So kind of building that strong foundation for a healthy life.
Exactly.
I like that. So then the article goes on to break down the importance of each food group,
Yeah,
starting with fruits and vegetables,
of course.
calling them the superstars.
Rightfully so.
Rich in vitamins, minerals, fiber.
And the variety is just incredible, right?
Yeah.
Think of all the colors of flavors and textures you can explore.
It's like nature's candy,
Absolutely.
packed with nutrients.
Much better than those processed snacks.
Way better. And then the article goes on to talk about the importance of whole grains as a vital source of carbohydrates for energy.
Yeah.
But this is where I get confused again, because we hear so much conflicting information about carbs. Are they good or bad?
It really comes down to choosing the right kinds of carbs. So whole grains are definitely the way to go because they retain that bran and the germ, which are packed with fiber, vitamins, and minerals.
Okay.
Refined grains, on the other hand, have been stripped of all those nutrients,
Ah.
leaving them basically just empty calories.
So like whole wheat bread versus white bread.
Exactly. And brown rice instead of white rice, quinoa instead of couscous.
Okay.
Those whole grains not only provide sustained energy release, but they also keep us feeling full for longer,
Oh, that's good.
which can be really helpful for weight management.
So then we get to protein, another essential nutrient. And the article really emphasizes the role of lean protein in building and repairing tissues.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are some good examples of lean protein?
So think chicken breast, fish beans, lentils, tofu, low-fat dairy products.
Mm-hmm.
All those provide the protein that our bodies need without that added saturated fat.
Okay, good to know. And that brings us to cholesterol, which I think is another topic that people struggle with.
Yeah, it can be confusing.
The article explains it as a fatty substance found in our blood,
Mm-hmm.
and that high levels can increase the risk of heart disease.
Absolutely.
But then it talks about the difference between good and bad cholesterol, which I've always found a little bit confusing.
It's an important distinction because it highlights how our diet can actually directly impact those cholesterol levels.
Okay.
So you have HDL cholesterol, the good kind,
Mm-hmm.
which acts like a scavenger, removing LDL cholesterol, the bad kind.
So it's not about eliminating all cholesterol.
Right,
It's
yeah.
about managing those different types.
Yes, exactly.
I guess that's where a healthy diet comes in.
For sure.
So the article talks about avoiding saturated and trans fats, which we talked about earlier, and increasing fiber intake
Mm-hmm.
through things like oats, fruits, vegetables.
Yeah.
And then it mentions exercise, which I think we need to talk more about.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll save that for later. So it seems like we're starting to see how all these pieces of the puzzle fit together.
Absolutely.
This balanced diet, regular exercise, managing stress, they all contribute to a healthier and happier life.
It's all about creating a lifestyle that really supports our overall well-being.
Well, this has been incredibly informative so far.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground today, from sugar to fats to cholesterol, blood pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
And I think it's clear that taking charge of our health is definitely within our reach.
Absolutely.
But we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
We've got a lot more to explore, so stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive, where we'll continue to delve into these essential rules for good health.
Sounds good. I'm excited to keep going. It's really empowering when we start to understand how our bodies work, you know?
It's like unlocking a secret code to better health.
Right. And it's not about being perfect.
No, not at all.
It's about making those small choices
Right.
that add up over time.
Like those little deposits in our health savings account.
Exactly. And, speaking of building, the article talks about building a healthy diet on that foundation of nutrient-rich foods.
Oh, yeah, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, all those good things.
Exactly, giving our bodies that high-quality fuel to keep everything running smoothly.
And we were talking about this earlier, but so many of those recommendations, they overlap.
Oh, right.
Whether it's heart health or diabetes or weight management.
It highlights that connection
Yeah, it really does.
between all aspects of our well-being.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to go back to cholesterol for a minute.
Okay.
I think a lot of people still get confused about that.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
Good versus bad. I mean, the article does a really nice job of explaining that.
Yeah,
Can you kind of break it down again for us?
absolutely. So, cholesterol often gets a bad rep, but it's important to remember that not all cholesterol is created equal.
Okay.
We've got HDL cholesterol, the good guy,
Yeah.
which acts like a scavenger, removing LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, from our bloodstream.
So it's not about eliminating all cholesterol.
Right.
It's just about making sure that we've got that right balance.
Exactly. And diet plays a key role in managing those cholesterol levels.
So are there certain foods that we should be focusing on for cholesterol?
One of the most powerful tools we have when it comes to cholesterol management is fiber.
Oh, really?
Yes, increasing our intake of fiber-rich foods, particularly soluble fiber,
Okay.
can really help to lower that LDL cholesterol.
The article mentioned oats and fruits and vegetables as good sources.
Yes.
How does that work? I mean, why is soluble fiber so powerful?
Well, so soluble fiber is kind of like a sponge. As it travels through our digestive system, it actually binds to cholesterol
Oh, wow.
and prevents it from being absorbed into the bloodstream.
That is amazing. I had no idea.
It's like a natural cholesterol-lowering agent.
That's incredible.
It really is remarkable how powerful food can be.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit now and talk about weight management.
Okay.
The article talks about how important it is to maintain a healthy weight.
Right. It's not just about fitting into our clothes.
Right.
It's really about protecting our long-term health.
And preventing those chronic diseases.
Absolutely. Carrying extra weight increases the risk of so many health conditions.
It does.
Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, certain types of cancer, even joint problems.
And I like that the article stresses that it's not about crash dieting.
Right. No quick fixes.
Yeah, no deprivation.
It's about finding a sustainable approach
Right.
that incorporates both healthy eating and regular physical activity, something that we can stick with for the long haul.
And not just focusing on the number on the scale.
Exactly. It's about how we feel,
Yeah.
our energy levels, our mood.
So feeling good in our own skin.
Exactly. And recognizing that health is a journey,
Yeah.
not a destination.
And speaking of feeling good, exercise has so many mood-boosting benefits too, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about weight management. It's about feeling energized, reducing stress, improving our mental clarity.
So it seems like exercise is really a key player in so many aspects of our well-being.
Absolutely. It should be an integral part of a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, now I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier. The article mentioned building a healthy diet based on those nutrient-rich foods.
Right. Those building blocks.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about that? What does that actually look like in our everyday lives?
Yeah. So it's all about providing our bodies with the essential nutrients they need to thrive.
Okay.
So vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants.
All those good things?
Yeah, all of these play crucial roles in supporting our bodily functions.
So it's like giving ourselves that premium fuel they need to run properly.
Exactly. And the best way to ensure we're getting those nutrients is to eat a variety of foods from all the food groups.
So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins.
Exactly. Color variety balance.
And it's not about being perfect, right?
No, not at all.
It's about making those healthy choices most of the time.
Right.
And enjoying those treats in moderation.
Exactly. Food should be enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's all about balance.
So the article really honed in on those fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins
But
as those building blocks.
they provide such a rich source of those essential nutrients.
And they can be prepared in so many different ways.
Endless possibilities.
Right. It doesn't have to be bland or boring.
Not at all.
There's so much room for creativity in the kitchen.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works for you. And making it enjoyable.
I love that. And it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Small changes that we can incorporate into our lives.
Start small.
And build from there.
Build those healthy habits over time.
Exactly. So we've talked a lot about diet and exercise.
We have.
But there's another really important piece of the puzzle that we haven't touched on yet. Stress management.
That's a big one.
Yeah, the article kind of briefly mentioned it,
It did.
but I think it deserves a deeper dive.
For sure. Stress is something that we all experience, but chronic stress
Right.
can really have a detrimental
It
impact
can,
on it.
our health.
Yeah, it's like a silent saboteur just chipping away.
Yeah.
Exactly. It weakens our immune system, it disrupts our sleep, it can contribute to weight gain, and it increases the risk of all those chronic diseases.
So it's really important to find those healthy ways to manage stress.
Absolutely. Prioritizing our mental and emotional well-being.
So what are some things that people can do?
Well, exercise is a fantastic stress reliever.
Right.
It releases endorphins that have those mood-boosting effects.
Right.
Meditation and deep breathing exercises
Yeah.
can also be very helpful.
Those are good.
They calm the mind and body.
For sure.
Spending time in nature
Love that.
has been shown to have restorative effects.
And finding those hobbies and activities that we enjoy.
Absolutely. Those outlets for stress can make a world of a difference.
Yeah, so it's really about prioritizing that self-care.
Yeah.
Making time for those activities that nourish both our minds and our body.
Absolutely.
And recognizing those signs of stress
Yes.
early on.
Before they become overwhelming.
Yeah, I like that. So it's like having that toolbox of strategies
Exactly.
that we can turn to when stress inevitably arises.
And it's about being kind to ourselves.
That's so important.
Recognizing that we're all doing the best we can.
Right.
We don't have to be perfect. We just have to keep striving to make those healthy choices.
This article has been amazing so far.
It really has.
It's such a comprehensive overview of all these essential rules for good health.
It covers everything.
It really does.
From diet to exercise to stress management.
And it really emphasizes that achieving good health is a journey,
It is.
not a destination.
It's a lifelong process
Yep.
of learning and growing and adapting.
So true. And it's about making those conscious choices each day
Absolutely.
that support our overall health and happiness.
And being patient with ourselves.
Yeah.
Celebrating that progress.
Recognizing that those small steps taken consistently can lead to those big transformations.
It's not about overnight fixes or drastic measure.
No.
It's about those small, everyday choices that woven together create that beautiful tapestry of well-being.
I love that analogy. It's about creating a life that feels good from the inside out. A
Exactly.
life that's full of energy and vitality and joy.
It's about finding that sweet spot where we feel balanced and grounded and empowered to truly live our lives to the fullest.
Beautifully said. And remember, those small changes can make a big difference over time.
They really can.
Don't underestimate the power of those everyday choices.
Consistency is key.
This has been such an insightful conversation. We've explored those fundamentals of good health, from diet to exercise, the impact of cholesterol, the importance of stress management.
It's been a great discussion.
And I think it's clear that taking charge of our health is a journey.
It is.
It involves making those conscious choices and celebrating those small victories along the way.
Absolutely. And I hope that our listener feels empowered
Yeah.
to make those positive changes and embrace a healthier and happier life.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but we're not done yet.
We're not.
Stay tuned for the final part of our episode, where we'll wrap up our discussion and leave our listener with some final thoughts and inspiration for their health journey. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're wrapping up our exploration of essential rules for good health from Liateo Wellness, and honestly, this article is a goldmine.
It is, isn't it? There's so many great takeaways.
And remember, this is all based on the article you sent in, so you're clearly already thinking about your health, and we're here to help you make those healthy choices.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. So let's recap some of the key points we've talked about so far. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was the sugar discussion. How those empty calories can really sabotage our health.
Yeah, it's amazing how much sugar is hidden in so many foods we eat every day and how it can impact everything from our weight to our risk of diabetes and heart disease.
We even talked about the science behind sugar cravings and how sugar can actually kind of hijack our brain's reward system.
It's like a chemical addiction almost.
Yeah, exactly. And we discussed how important it is to choose water and those whole foods over those sugary drinks and processed snacks.
Those simple swaps can make a huge difference in the long run.
Then we dove into the often confusing world of fats.
Right. Is it good or bad?
Exactly. We learned that it's not so black and white. There are healthy fats and unhealthy fats.
The article's seesaw analogy was a great way to visualize that.
It really stuck with me. So we talked about how those unsaturated fats like olive oil and avocados can actually be beneficial for our heart health.
They're the good guys on the seesaw.
Exactly. And then we moved on to those essential indicators of heart health. blood pressure, and cholesterol.
Yeah, we talked about the importance of reducing sodium intake to keep our blood pressure in check.
And how increasing fiber can help lower cholesterol.
Those small changes to our diet can really make a big impact on our overall health.
And let's not forget about the power of exercise. It not only helps us manage our weight, but it also strengthens our hearts, boosts our mood, improves our sleep, and even helps us manage stress.
It's like a magic bullet for good health.
It really is.
Hmm.
We also touched upon the seriousness of diabetes and how lifestyle choices can play such a crucial role in managing it.
Yeah, we talked about those key dietary recommendations like incorporating whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, and avoiding those high sugar, refined carb foods.
And throughout our conversation, we really emphasize the importance of a balanced approach, you know?
Absolutely. It's not about perfection.
Right.
It's about progress.
It's about finding what works for you, listening to your body,
Mm.
and making those sustainable changes that you can stick with for the long term.
It's about creating a lifestyle that nourishes you both physically and mentally.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought.
What's that?
What's one specific actionable change you can make based on everything we've talked about today?
Maybe it's something small, like swapping out sugary drinks for water or adding an extra serving of vegetables to your dinner.
Or finding a fun way to move your body for 30 minutes each day.
Or exploring a new stress-reducing technique like meditation or deep breathing exercises.
Whatever it is, make it something you can commit to, a small step that will move you closer to a healthier, happier you.
Because even small changes can make a big difference over time.
That's right. We encourage you to check out that full article on Liateo Wellness for even more insights and continue exploring your own unique path to well-being.
It's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Oh.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep thriving.